Okay, let me tell you a few words at the beginning. I've been working at an architect's office in Stuttgart in Germany for several years, and this office is very active in the public and cultural topic. They did a lot of schools, swimming pools, faculties or institutes for universities and stuff like this. And I was in the first years I was in the competition team. So this means I have done about 50 competitions all in these topics. And this is why I'm going to show you today 3 projects. They were all not realized. They won prizes or mentions, but we couldn't build them. But I think it's a nice chance to see the concept of the buildings as I show you the drawings I did for the competitions. The first project is a sports hall in Heidelberg. Heidelberg is known for its one of the oldest universities in Germany, and here you can see the site. This is an old school from the 1970s, brutalist architecture, you know that maybe. And there was already a sports hall, but it wasn't enough. They needed a second one. This is already the design. They needed a second one, not only for themselves, also for other students from other faculties to use them. So, yeah, we had to. You see the edge of the site here, the thick line, and the program was, of course, there in the area for the field, for the soccer field or for the tennis field, whatever. Of course, was already there, and you see it was quite difficult to put that field into this site. So there were some difficulties with the site, but I won't tell you much about how we did it. Here you can see the floor plan with the old sports hall and the changing rooms, and we made another corridor of changing rooms under this changing room for the other sports hall, who was half in the ground. The entrance is in this area. And this is the ground floor, so you can see the new sports hall is in the ground, half, and this is the changing rooms for the new sports hall. You won't see very much if I click back to the site. You won't see this is the street down here. You won't see very much of the new sports hall when you go along the street. The other view from the east, you should see more, and because of this digging in the ground, you won't see very much of the new. Oh, thank you. Of the new sports hall. And this is another elevation from the north. I would like to go more in detail later. This is a section drawing with the old and the new sports hall. And the final image of this project is a perspective view where you can see the new entrance and the roof above, and the facade is mostly of glass. I will show you later why it's made like this. And you see in the background the hills of the Main area, Neckar area, and the old brutalist school from the 1970s. The second project is a swimming pool. We did a lot of swimming pools in those days. The architect's office is known for it as well. And this swimming pool, the competition was in Kassel. Kassel is the city where the famous art fair Documenta takes place every 5 years, and it's near the city center. The city center is in the northeast of this site plan, and here you can see the river running through the city, the Fulda. And this is the site between the bridge and the street and the river. And there was an open swimming pool along the street, long buildings, and you can see the new building here, which is white. It takes some of this structure, but of course it's also done like this because the site was a very long site and we could only use half of it because of the river flood. Here you can see how it's organized in the ground floor. You see changing rooms. Okay, you see the entrance. On the right, changing rooms for the swimming pool. On the left, changing rooms for the sauna. There's a sauna with a sauna garden as well. Here you can see the pools, the interior pools, the new exterior pool, and of course outdoor leisure zones where you can just it's grass and lie there in the summer. Okay, we had the sauna, we had the leisure zone with funny water gameplays, I don't know, for children, and the sports center here with the 50-meter swimming pool. This is the ground floor. You have to step down to enter the sauna and the sauna garden, and of course the exterior. This was a very complex competition because the function was very differentiated, and that's why the building became so long and also differentiated concerning the roofs. We needed high roofs for the jumping pools, and you wouldn't need a high roof for a sauna, so we had to split the roofs to make it comfortable. I hope you can see it. But this building was very long and complex. And this is a cross-section of the site with the river Fulda on the right and the grass here and the swimming pool on the left. The tower is for the Rutsche. Olli, weißt du, was Rutsche heißt? Slide? Slide? You can jump into...
okay.
Pular. Jump is pular.
Este instrumento.
Trampolín. No, trampolín para pular. Para...
No, no, Rocha.
un escorregador. No me dan
Tobogán aquático.
Sí, tobogán en español.
Okay, this is the perspective view seen from the grass where people can lie down, and you see the complex of the different functions. And the third project is an elementary school in a small small town. You would say it's a tiny village. 5,000 inhabitants near Siegen. And this is the actual site. We have an old school here, this long one, a sports hall, another sports hall, tennis courts. And this was the site for the new school, new elementary school. And the problem here was we couldn't go to the street with the building because this park was somehow you couldn't touch the park because it was a monument or something. So how could you put a new school with that size onto the site without touching the wood, but to create a nice schoolyard at the same time? At the left side you can see the ground floor, and on the right side the first floor. And there's a huge difference, in my opinion, in these two floors, because we have all the classrooms in the first and the second floor, and all the uses for administration. Here's a little conference room or theater room, the mensa, the music room, the art room. So all the more open, more public rooms are organized in the ground floor. And here's a connection to the school garden, and you can eat outside as well. This is the view when you from the east, when you enter the school, when you come by bus or something. So we have this old school here at the left and the new school on the right. Another elevation drawing. And making models was also very important for us during these competition. This is the final model where you can see the new building, which is totally different from the old ones, which was from the 1950s, 1960s, I think. And we cut a hole into the roof for this public area in the ground floor. So these were the 3 projects. I wanted to show them very neutral, I think. I hope I did it in a way neutral, because I wanted to show you 3 issues or 3 topics. The first topic, which I want to go into more, is context, and of course contextual architecture can be meant in different topics, like material or something. Or what about the structure? When you look right or left to the building, how can I arrange my new building into the existing structure? Also in terms not only in width or length, also in volume. The second issue would be space. What happens if I create a new school? But what happens with the exterior space? Are there any spaces abandoned when I create a new space? Can I enter all the exterior space when I create a new building? Also, in terms of space, also in terms of sustainability. That means how can I arrange space in a compact way, okay? Or how can I use it in a good way? And also in terms of room configuration. What happens to me as a visitor, as a student, as a swimming pool visitor when I go from one room to the next room? And with room I don't mean classroom or toilet room, I mean atmospherical things like intimate rooms or open rooms like sauna or something. And also not only the configuration of several rooms and connecting them one to each other, but also the transformation from one room to the other. And the third issue is to look at the function, and with function I don't mean how can I work the building, work good as a swimming pool. I mean how can the function of a building be read when I have a look at it? Or what I want to say is there a speaking architecture, architecture parlante en français, also French speaking. So can I read the function when I have a look at a building? Can I identify myself with it? Am I feeling well or welcomed? And atmosphere is very important as well. Okay, let's look at the projects back again. Let's look back at the sports hall. I told you about this structure which was in the heart of the university complex, and as you know, it's nearly the same here, only in the smaller scale, of course. We had a campus, a field, and all those buildings from different periods on the site, and there were paths and streets connecting the buildings. And you remember maybe that we had this site for our sports hall, and what we did is the dark red is the new sports hall, and the light red is the site development, which means the corridors of the old and the new sports hall, with the roof overhang under this connection path. It was only one issue concerning context. Of course, there are more, but I don't want to tell you too much. This was the most important one. Concerning space about the sports hall, of course, it was important to use the site as good as possible, because there was a lot of green, a lot of trees as well. We didn't cut any trees, and we made sure that the former way was there, was still available, because it was important for the other buildings. And here you can see also the volume of the sports hall. It's very low compared to all the other buildings. You see, this is the old sports hall. It's a lot higher than the new one, and you see the roof, hardly, maybe, and the new path under this roof. The roof is the site development. And in terms of function, what makes this sports hall a sports hall? What do you think when you think of a sports hall? How does it have to look like? I think there's no general answer, but the digging in the ground, in my opinion, was a very good idea, because the sports hall had to be, there were sports events, and you could pull a tribune, balcony out of the wall, because there were sports events with 150 people, and the whole visitors don't have to go up or down to visit to be able to step down the balcony. And the other thing is, you need, in Germany, you need a ball protection for 3 meters high around the glass facade. And if you dig it in the ground, you wouldn't do the glass facade, but you can use it as a ball protection. The second project was the swimming pool. What about the context here? This is what the landscape architecture, we had a collaboration with a landscape architect group during the competition, and this is the first sketch the landscape architect gave us. And of course it has no scale and no, I don't know, it's just a sketch, but what he wanted to tell us, keep in mind the structure and the lines, the imaginary lines on the site. And this is why we took the structure very long of this building. If you go along the street, the building wouldn't appear too high. The dark gray is in front of the street and the lighter gray is far away from the street, so the building, you can see it here again, develops onto the side, and on the street it's of course you can see it, but it's not that big. Concerning space, this is the line which I told you was what you can see from the street. We wanted to develop the swimming pool towards the river, towards the landscape. Yeah, you can see it here as well. But on the other hand, we wanted the landscape to come into the swimming pool. It's like biting with teeth, yeah, or a key which you put in the key trunk. Yeah, the connection of inside and outside was very important. So the finished project may look like this. Of course, it's a pictogram, but if you remember this drawing or this the ground floor, maybe you can understand it. Functional issues concerning the swimming pool. Yeah, what's the function of a swimming pool? I think it has to do with atmosphere and that people want to go there, want to stay there, calm down and forget the outside world, I think. And yeah, you can think of your own if it had worked concerning this swimming pool or not. The last project issue context was very important because it was a small, tiny town, 5,000 inhabitants, to deal with material. We used slate for the second floor. Slate was very common in that area, and it is a tradition to use it, but architects or people won't use it very often for their homes or buildings. And the green elements of the facade is a reference to the park around. Space was very important in this project. As I told you, we had difficulties to put this building onto the site plan. Here's the new building, and we wanted to make it possible to connect to connect the ground floor with the garden in the north, and also connect the garden or the forest with the schoolyard, and that's why we put the building there. One last issue concerning the elementary school's function, and this is, I can repeat myself now, the function of being able to walk through the building in direction of the forest. We made a little school garden here and people could eat outside. But another thing was to create two different zones. We had this public zone in the ground floor and the more intimate zone in the first floor, and that's why we changed the facade there. We made it more closed in the second floor and open with glass, and in the first floor, in the ground floor. Yeah, this I'm finished. Once again, displaying the three issues, and yeah, I come to the end. Thank you.